Hey everyone, today is the second episode about our data journey. So in the first episode, we talked about how to get your data into Excel. And once you get into that Excel using the Power Query and connect to the source, we're able to do further transformation in the Power Query, which is this Power Query editor. You can see we have 4 tables has been ingested into these Power Query editors. If I make this bigger, we have a chance to go through each of them one by one. So for this part, we are actually preparing our data for our analytic work later on. So we need to make sure the data has been cleaned. Everything has to be very sound and safe and also tidy. How we tidy up this kind of information. So we just need to go through each of the table to see what are the anomalies. Normally, the anomalies can happen when you have a missing value, you have null value, you have some empty rows, and you have some duplication. So we'll tackle them one by one. I have mimicked those situations and embed them into each of the tables. So let's have a look. So for the custom table, you can see once we ingest it, going through the last step, we have several rows, and there's one row is called null. So it is empty presentation in our original table. What we can do is we can just use a field to untick this part and to make it gone. So that's one part we finished the cleansing. And then we're going through the order item. In the order item, we can quickly scan through. If we sort this by certain order, you can see the first line is 01, the last line is 15. So we have 15 rows, and you can see over here we have 15 rows. So there's no duplication order, but if we look at the quantity column, there's one big one, and it's called 9999. So the quantity is significantly large. It's more like a fictional number. So if we dip into that, we see this is from order ID 1007. If we're going back to the order, and you can see 107. And if I going back to check the customer, who is this guy, and if going to 7, go to customer 7, you can see this is wrong. But if I check email domain, it's actually from my company, and you can see this one. So I know this is a testing order. So sort of, we need to remove this part. So we're going to the order item. We don't need this line because this is the testing order. That's why the number of the quantity is significantly larger than any other things. One way you remove the order ID and you don't need that, you can do that. We can just untick this 107. That line will be gone. And also, you don't need this customer to do any your presentation. So we remove that 7 as well. Now we know that 107 is a testing. We also remove this 107. Okay, that's done for the outliers because that one is pretty gonna make a variation about our information finally. So we remove that. So for the order, let's see what we have. You can see we have sorted from the order ID from the small to the largest. We have 11 lines. That's why 11 lines. But for the last 2 lines, this duplication happened. Nothing changed of this one. So in a particular order, we call this ID column as a primary key. In the primary key for a table, there's no duplication is allowed. So there must be a data issue when we ingest that. That's fine, you can remove that. How we remove that? By this one, you can just right click this and you have this remove duplicates. Now the line has been removed. Okay, now we're going through the last table, which is the product. Product looks totally fine except this line. You can see this product 107, there's no value for that and it's null, and there will be an issue later on because a particular column of a tabular table, we can't have multiple data type. We can only force to one data type. So for this column is a little bit awkward because if I force everything into a number, this now cannot be transferred a number. This is the text. If I transfer everything into text, I can't do any mathematical calculations later on. So I better deal with this now. I know that this price, after checking with Oliver Brown, I know that the price of this is 50. So I can just right click, replace value. And we have this little window pop up. Let's just type 50, hit enter to proceed. Now we have revived the value of this particular line. Now every table has been cleaned. It's basically the processing, the step 1 of the processing. So once cleaned, we're gonna make sense of data because if information is scattered around these 4 tables, it's hard to look up things. For example, for a particular order, if I want to know who is the customer, it's hard for me to back to customer to check the customer ID. It's better to join these 2 information together. So how we do that? It's pretty easy. We need to find your anchor point, which is the base table on the left-hand side. Let's just say order. For the order, there's a merge and append. since we want review the number 1 is to which customer, number 2 is which customer, we need to use merge as is actually expanding your horizon. So you have more dimensions to talk about this order. So for example, customer. So we're going to do merge. And we're going to merge that into a new. We're going to say, when we merge a new, you have this little window come up. We're going to merge the order with the customer. Oh, wait a second. I think I didn't click that. Merge as new. Okay. We're going to merge order with customer. And I know the customer ID in the order table is the same as the customer ID in the customer table. And I'm using the left outer join. So since one customer can have multiple orders, for example, in this case, customer number 2 has 2 orders placed consecutive day. So this table will have more lines than this table, which is a many to one relationship, which is matching the golden rule. We click OK. Once we click it, we have this new merge. Let's just say order customer. Okay, now I have this. You have this kind of little icon show that's a table. We can expand that. We can say do not use original column name as a prefix. We don't need that. What do we need to review? Since we already have the customer ID in the original order table, we don't need this part. We need first name, last name, email. Correct. Now you have these 3 columns being expanded. So we're using a merge function over here to merge the data from the customer to the order table, so I can have a revealing of for each line which customer placed order. Now this is done, we don't need this. We can just remove this column. In the process of making sense of data, we mainly just by merging or append to make them joined together. Not only we need to look at customer and order relationship, we also need to look at the order item and order, because order item has very important information about order date, and order item somehow I can use the order item table to reach the product. You can see that. So SKU ID is the primary key in this product table. So I'm going to make sense of these 3 tables together. How we do that? First, find your anchor point. Find the most grand data of your table. So order item definitely has more lines over the order and also over the product. So that's fine. That's the starting point. With this, we're going to do a merge as a new query. Same window come up. Let's do one by one. So first, for order item to reach the product table, we need to use order table in between. So find that. I have order ID. This is a foreign key in the order item table. In the order table, order ID is the primary key. So we link that. You can see 14 and 14 rows has been matched. Click OK. We rename this one as order 4, which means I have order information and also order detail information. For this one, I'm going to expand that. I don't need order ID, but I do need 2-bit. Once we have done that, now we have order date and customer ID. And since I can use customer ID to review more information about the customer, I can also use the SKU ID to review more information about the product. So let's further, we click on this, we merge it again. This time we are not going to create a new one, we're just going to append on top. So this order 4, first I'm going to review the product information. So SKU ID, we can link that to product SKU ID. This is the many side, this is the one side, we click OK. Now we have this table, we enable that again. I don't need a SKU ID, I need a SKU name and product unit price. Now we have done this. Once I've done this, we're going to redo that again to have the customer information reviewed. Customer ID, I need to find the customer table. I need to find the customer table. And this is the many side, this is the one side. We click OK. Once I have that, we expand the information about, we don't need customer ID, but I do need first name, last name, and email. Now you have this one big fat table to talk about all the things you need about customer, about order, about everything. Now you can see this is pretty fat. When I say fat, it's pretty wide. There's something we don't need. For example, order 9 item, you probably don't need that, but it's in the place, it's better than nothing. SKU ID, I don't need that. You can remove that. Quantity, I need. Order date, you can reorganize it to the top. So think about the layer. You have, customer has a pick a date. Let's just do this way. So first is let's just move everything to the very front. Email will be the front. Okay. So first, customer Jenna, on this day, she placed an order, right? Once he places an order, there will be an order ID generated. Once she's occupying that order ID, then she's trying to add an item to the cart so she can make a purchase. So once she add an item, there will be an item ID being generated. Once item has been added, system will ask, okay, what kind of product you need? So we don't need this customer. What kind of product you need? And then she's picking this smartwatch, right? Once picked, and the system will also ask, okay, how many quantity you need? She said, I need 16. Once she hit enter, the price will be attached because this 50 is coming from our end. This is 16 is decided by the customer. So that's the full story. Let's just go through another story again. Amar Chen, on 2 different days, he makes a purchase of 2 different orders. For each of the orders, when he adding the thing into his cart, he will say, pick a product and pick a quantity, and the system will give a price when he tries to check it out, right? So that's the full story. So that's a whole picture of a whole story. If we're okay with that, now this is going to be the 2 that we're going to use. So for this part, we can just rename this part saying, we can say it's raw underscore. We rename that again. Rename that again. This one I'm going to say TDA. Okay. Once I have these 2 layers, so this is the raw. Once I have transformed the data, I'm going to name them as TDA. So I know that when I do the visualization, do the analytic work later on, I know which kind of layer I'm accessing to. If I don't have the TDA ready, I'm going to create a TDA first and then use that as my power source of my visualization. So that's today's topic. Let's sum it up. Today we have talked about how to process your data in Power Query. Once you ingest every source of your information into Power Query, they will be ready that as a raw source of your next step, which is cleansing the data. So cleansing the data, we're focusing on several data types. For example, in this part, we found out something that is missing, so we fill the missing gap. And also, if some rows are totally blank, we remove them. And also some of them are duplications. For example, the order, we know that the last order has been duplicated 1 time, so we will remove those duplications. For the raw product, we fill the missing value for this particular product 107 with a price that I have checked with my assistant. Once I have done the cleansing process, now I'm ready to make sense of them. Make sense of them basically just by joining the data from different sources into one piece. So I can easily look after the full status of a particular order. For example, there's multiple ways you can describe an order. You can describe the order by different date, by different customer, by different quantity they make a purchase, all sorts of things. So in order to make that analysis process as smooth as possible, we use merge query to merge data into one big fat table so we can do analysis later on. So that's pretty much for today. And thanks for joining the session, and see you guys in the next one.